Hello, my name's Ellie and I normally do the Craft House Magic Crafty podcast every week. This week I thought I'd do a little video showing you the knitting and crochet gadgets that I think are brilliant for either stocking fillers, Christmas presents or other birthday gifts or gifts for any other reason. I'm going to split the video into sort of stocking fillers, which are sort of cheaper items that are around the £5 to £10 range, and then the second section it'll be sort of £15 and over. Most of the items come in about 20 something pounds, but there is a larger item at the end of the video. So first of all, in the sort of stocking filler range, number one is stitch markers or progress keep. So here's some examples on a sock that I've just popped on so I can explain a little bit more. These ones here are all progress keepers, and they've either got a lobster clasp or a lever back clasp that allows you to hook them right into the knitting or crochet so that you can mark where you are in your work. So these are good for both knitting and crochet projects. Then you can also get stitch markers with the ring. Now the ring is only really useful for knitting, so you don't want to buy a crocheter, the ones with the hoops on. I've got some that I sell in my shop, but also some from a couple of other companies that I wanted to talk to you about. So I have got a couple of different sizes of ring if you are a knitter, and I've got 3 sizes of the progress keeper type of clasp. We've got the lobster clasp and also the lever back clasp, and 2 different sizes of lobster clasp. Quite often from other companies you get just the larger lobster clasp. It just depends on your preference and how dexterous you are. So I just do the standard sort of silver charms, but you can get these gorgeous handmade pieces from Polymer clay makers. This one here is from Chapelview Crafts. She does a lot of different little cakes which are absolutely lovely. She does jewellery as well. But this one is from Jiggles and Beans, which is another UK seller. That's an Etsy shop, Jiggles and Beans, and Chapelview Crafts has her own website, so I'll leave a link to those in the description bar down below. Number 2 are some really nice scissors. They're good for both knitters and crocheters, and they come in many different designs. So I have some rose gold stalk ones, and then I have a range of these rainbow metal ones which I think are lovely too. So we have some butterfly, a unicorn set, and I also have a sort of art deco set and a guitar, which is rather fun. So if they're into music as well, that could be the ideal present. So if you're having trouble with dexterity, I do find these pair, the art deco range, have got a nice plenty of room for fingers in there. They're really nice and ergonomic sort of style for scissors, but they all work nicely if you've got good dexterity. So number 3 are cute little dumpling cases made by HiyaHiya. I think these are really lovely to keep stitch markers and progress keepers in. Pop them in your project bag, and they're just really pretty as well. So they've all got a bright green lining, which I think is really cute, and they come in a range of really nice colours. So the next one, number 4, are needle gauges. So my favourite one is the sheep. But you can get more standard shape needle gauges like this one, and it just enables you to check the size of needles when either you haven't got your glasses on so you can't read the number that's printed on the actual needle itself, or you have a set that the labels come off. It just gives you peace of mind to know exactly what the size is. They're coming in at about £4. Last of all of the stocking fillers are tape measures. I think tape measures are good in every project bag. That's what I tend to do anyway, and these are my favourite ones. They have got alpacas printed on them, and they're a really nice square shape, and I find that they're actually quite a small tape measure, which is brilliant for popping in your notions bag, and it's a retractable one which is really useful, and it has a little hangy thing on it. So there's 2 different colourways that I've got in my shop, but there are a whole host of other tape measure designs that you can pick. So now moving along to the slightly higher price range, you've got things that are sort of over £15. So first of all, the Knit Pro blockers are a real favourite of mine. So I have got 2 different versions. I've had these for absolutely years and I find them so useful. So this one is the coloured version, where you get a rainbow of colours of these different blockers. A plastic applicator with the needles all the way across the bottom, so that you can actually place multiple needles at the same time. It just saves so much time. I have gone away from using the normal T-pins that I used to use all the time, and I've gone for using these. They come with a set of longer ones and also shorter ones as well if you need a different shape, and I just find them so useful. I've found that I've actually purchased 3 sets now for myself, so that I've got plenty if I'm doing a really big project or a couple of things that I want to block at the same time. They also do a plain white version as well if you're not into the rainbow. And to go with this, I thought I'd do, as the sort of second part, part number 2 is actually a bit of a cheat. So these are blocking mats. Well, I call them blocking mats. Knit Pro do a version of a blocking mat like this, and they charge quite a lot of money for them. They have got grid lines on though, so you can measure where you're sort of stretching out your garment or shawl to. But I found that these are just as good. They are basically mats to go on the garage floor that are made of foam, and I picked these up from B&M or Home Bargains, I think, something like that, and they come with a pack of 6 and they're about £10, so they're well worth buying the ones from Home Bargains or B&M rather than the actual proper ones, because they're a lot more expensive. They also sell a children's sort of version of a floor mat when the children are playing, and they're slightly smaller panels, but you might find them easier to store. It's a good alternative to using the Knit Pro blocking mats, and they fit into each other just at the edge here, which is brilliant if you've got a nice big project. I quite often get all 6 out for one of the really big shawls, you know, or a garment. So talking about blocking items, item 3 is wool wash. So the one that I tend to use the very most is Eucalan, and they come in quite a few different scents. You've got lavender, eucalyptus, grapefruit, a natural scent which is unscented, and jasmine, and they're all really lovely. And I tend to buy the bigger bottles to use, but you can get smaller ones as well. They do 100ml. And also these little sample packs. So if you're not sure whether somebody's going to like the Eucalan, you can always get them a little sample. There are other delicate washes on the market. I would also recommend Soak as well. I will pop links to them both in the description bar down below if you're interested in those. So these sort of size ones are more like a stocking filler, whereas these work out a little bit more expensive. You're talking about £11 for this size. So another idea for a gift for a knitter or a crocheter, I think this more applies to a knitter though, because of the way the knitting charts are laid out for sort of lace and colourwork charts. There are a couple of versions of chart keepers that you can get. These are Knit Pro chart keepers. These are the smaller size ones. They do this size which holds basically a folded over piece of A4 paper. And if I open one up, I'll show you how it works. So you'd pop your pattern here, and then you'd use these magnets to mark where you are on the pattern, which is brilliant if it's a very complicated pattern. And then you can close it up and keep it nice and safe. When you're using it, you can use these press studs to keep the folder open so that it can sit on the side as you're working, and then there's a little pocket on the back and a space for a pen. And then there's these 2 different colourways. This is called the Blossom colourway, and this one is called the Magma, which is just black. These are my favourite out of all the designs that they do, so I've just picked those to show you. So they also do larger ones as well that actually fit the A4 on one side of the panel, so you don't have to fold your pattern. But if you wanted something that was a little bit more lightweight, Clover do these magnetic strips that go either side of your A4 piece of paper. If I just show it with a lined piece of paper, you'd open up the magnet, place it under the sheet, and then you can fold that over, and you've got that line marked exactly where you are on your pattern. So if that is a lace pattern or a colourwork pattern, that's brilliant for marking your place. And this comes out a little bit cheaper than the folders, and it actually comes with 2 versions. So you've got the narrower and wider version, so if it's going down the full length of an A4 piece of paper, this is long enough, and this is for across an A4 piece of paper. So those are another handy thing to have and a lovely gift to give somebody for Christmas or birthday. So the last thing on the list, and the most expensive, is one of the needle or crochet hook sets. Now I particularly like HiyaHiya ones, so I'm going to show you those, but there are some other makes that I really like as well. So Chiagoo do really nice needle sets, and so do Addi, so I will pop links to shops where you can get those from. These are my favourite because HiyaHiya are my favourite needle. So HiyaHiya needles, the premium plus sets come with like a full range of needles from either 2.75 to 5mm or 5mm up. The smaller range is 2.75 to 5, and 5 and up is the larger one. And they do different materials as well, so you can choose steel, sharp or bamboo, according to whichever one that you prefer. But they do come in these lovely brocade cases, which come in the most gorgeous colours. So they come in that sort of style case, and you open the case up like this, and you get the needles in the little pockets separated. There's a little pocket at the top where you can put other little bits and bobs, just there. And then on the back of the case is another space, and it's got space for all your cables to go in. So this is an interchangeable needle case. There are other types of needles, so if you do a lot of sock knitting, there's magic loop sets which come in a style of case which is more like this, where you roll it out and it's like a roll where there's different sizes of the magic loop needles with a 40cm cable. 40cm cable is probably the one that I recommend the most because it's most useful for all sorts of projects. So you've got your shawls, you can use it for the magic loop for sock knitting and also for garment knitting as well. I have sets of flyer needles, which is basically halfway between a DPN and a circular needle, where you get 3 needles which have a bendy bit in the middle, and they come in cases like this. So it really depends on what the person tends to use the very most. I think most often out of all the cases, the interchangeable set is probably the most useful and the one that I sort of ordered first and I've had the longest. But they also do some crochet hook sets as well, which come in these lovely brocade cases again, and these ones roll out like this, and you've got your little spaces for all the needles. So those are another option for what you can purchase for somebody for Christmas. I know that if you're looking for Chiagoo knitting needles, Purlescence is a good place to go for that, and if you're looking for something like an Addi set, I know that Wool Warehouse and Woolstack, I think, are quite good for those as well. So I have popped all the links to all the things that I've talked about in my suggestions video, and I hope you all have a lovely Christmas. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you'd like to see more, and I shall see you in the next video. Bye!